Alright, I'm gonna scroll down to last section. In there I'm gonna separate this heading and the content by using row tags. So I'm going to move this heading to the first row, and I'm going to get in this row, and I'm going to create another column with the size of 12 columns. That means this will take the entire width of the row to render the content. The reason for doing this is I'm going to actually create two rows in this row. So as I told you, we cannot actually put row tag like this. We need to create one row and create a column in that, and then we can add more rows in that column. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create two rows, and I'm going to move this text to the first row in that column, and I'm going to move this to this row. So those are two buttons, so I'm gonna turn this text in the square brackets to buttons. So I'm gonna say button, and you can use a button component which is available in react-bootstrap library. Alright, now I have created those two buttons. I'm going to style them. I'm gonna say button. So this is going to clear out all the styles, all the default style this button has. So I'm going to use BT and primary, and in here for this button I will and for this button I will clear up all the default styles it has by providing button. And I'm gonna use a different color. I just forgot which class I wanna use in order to get this color, but anyway I can provide that color by myself. So I'm going to say this is the color that I want. So if I visit the page, we'll see that this is the color that I want, but the two buttons are aligned in a column. To do that, to make sure that each button won't get the entire width of the row, I'm gonna say width should be auto. Then this button only gets the width to show the text content in that button. It won't actually take the entire width of the row. So for this button also, I want to say with auto, then you will see I get that. So two buttons are aligned in a row. Alright, now there's one thing that we need to do actually. I'm going to style the text a little bit. I'm going to say, actually I just wrap this or with the span tag. Then those are three different components, and I'm going to wrap this one with span tag too. Alright, now I'm going to change the font size a little bit, so I will choose 5, font size 5. Okay, that's fine. And for this span tag also, I'm going to say which should be auto, then it won't take the entire width of the row. I'm going to copy that and see. Yeah, it works. And let me copy this and paste that in here. So all the span tags also have that with auto class. Alright, now I'm going to change the size of this paragraph a little bit. So the size I'm going to put is FS4, and for the heading I'm going to say font size should be 1 and the font weight should be bold. And I need to get some space from the left border, so I need some padding from the start. So padding from the start, I need some padding from the start with the size of 5, so that will give us enough padding. Alright, You can also ask ChatGPT to generate an image for you for this section. I'm going to change the size of the font for this paragraph a little bit. Like, it's alright, that's fine. And I need some gap between each item. That means I want a gap between the heading and this paragraph, and also I need a gap between this paragraph and this content with the buttons. So one thing we can do here is we can add some padding from top to this one, like 4, and then we can add some padding from top to this paragraph also. Like, I will use the same number like this, and I need to give a color to the background, so let's use some darker color for that. So I'm gonna get into this row tag and type style. I'm gonna write some inline CSS for that. So the background color for this section should be something like dark blue. Something like this. We'll see what that text is. It should be darker than that. That much. So we'll say 333. Alright, that color is fine. So I need to change the text color a little bit. I'm gonna set the text color to white. Then I'll be able to see the text. That too, and for this, or I don't want the text color of these 2 buttons to be white. I just keep them as black and white. Because we use BT in primary, it sets the text color to white because we have a blue background. That's fine. We can see the text clearly from the blue background. So I'm gonna keep it like that. And if you need, you can center this text. If you can center the content by using justify content center. So in larger screen sizes and also in the medium screen sizes, this content gets centered, and in the smallest screen sizes the content will not get centered because the column takes the size of 12 columns, so it won't get aligned to the center. So in here I want to say make the text, push the text, the text alignment should be center, and for the paragraph 2 I want to put that. And in this row, let me indent this properly, and in this row I'm going to say justify all the content to the center. Actually, because we provide the heading in the row tag without any surrounding tags, if you wrap this with the p tag, you can use the text center, or if you wrap this heading with the h tag, you can use text center in that tag, but we are directly putting the heading in a row tag. So what we need to do in order to center that, you need to say justify content center, because we are putting the heading directly in a row tag. There you go. And for the paragraph tag and for the paragraph also, we need to do that. I need to say justify content center. I'm gonna remove this text center CSS classes. Alright, there you go. Alright, now we have finished the start in the last section that we have in the home page. Now let's start creating the header that contains nav links and the footer. Alright guys, now let's start creating the header and footer for web application. To do that, I'm going to create 2 files in this components directory. So the first file is the header.jsx, and the second file is footer.jsx. In the footer.jsx file, I'm going to create the footer component, export default function, and our component name, which is footer, and I'm going to return a text for now within these fragments. I'm going to say this is the footer. Alright, if I talk about these fragments a little bit, these fragments actually help us to group the code, and it avoids adding unnecessary tags to the HTML content or the DOM. That means, imagine you need to return three components, like one text and two div tags, or I just add one paragraph tag, it doesn't matter. Right, if you need to actually return these three items, if you don't use the fragment, it gives us an error, because in React we cannot return three things or three components or three elements from a component in React. To do that, we use fragments to group the code, so it will get returned as one component. So these fragments are built-in components in React. It just groups the code, so we have the ability to return many lines that we want without adding unnecessary tags to the HTML or DOM. So that's what it does. You can actually, if you actually return a row component which is available in React Bootstrap, you don't need to add fragments, because you can put many columns as you want within these rows, or any tag you can use in this row, right? You can use p tags, you can use div tags in a row, it's not a problem. But if you need to return two rows, then you need to actually wrap this code with fragments. I think you got what I told. Basically, we use fragments to group the code. We cannot, if we need to return two components, we can't do that. So to make sure those two components get returned as one component, then we group that code together by using fragments, and then we return it. So then we won't get any error. So I'm going to clear that for now, and I'm going to put this text. This is the footer, and I'm going to copy the code. I'm going to remove these import statements, don't need that right now. I'm going to copy this code, and I'm going to open the header.jsx file, and I'm going to paste it, and I need to change this footer into header, and also I want to change this one too. Alright, now we have two components, header component and the footer component. Now we can use it. If you have visited any web page, you may have seen that when you visit many pages, that means imagine in one website you can see the home page and the contact page and the about us page. You can see different pages, right? When you visit each page, header and the footer stays the same. They don't change, only the content of the page changes. But in our project right now, when we visit the contact page, it returns us, it shows us an empty page, and if we visit the home page, you will see the home page content. There's no any footer and header included in those pages. Now we're going to make the header and footer to stay without changing, and let the page content to change when we visit each page. To do that, we need to create one file in this components directory. I'm going to name it as base.jsx, and in there I need to create that component. So I'm going to return our header and footer. Between this header and footer, we're going to show the content of the page that we're visiting. As you can see here, I get an error because I returned two components, header and footer, from this base component. We can't do that, so you know already what we can do. We can add these fragments to avoid adding unnecessary tags to the HTML or DOM, and to group these components. So between these two components, we need to return our page content. So I'm going to add that. Alright, we'll see how we can do that later. For now, I'm going to change the main.jsx file a little bit. I'm going to remove this home page tag, and instead I'm going to provide the base component in here, and also I'm going to replace these fragments with that component. Alright, when we visit our home page, you see we see this text. This is the header and this is the footer. Now we see those. Let's try visiting the contact page. In that page also we get that thing, because we say in here in the main.jsx file, when we visit the home page, return the base component, and when we visit the contact page, return the base component. In the base component we have used our header and footer, so header and footer renders this text, right? So that's what we're seeing in that page. Now let's make this code to show the content of the page when we visit the URL. That means when you visit the home page, it shows the content for the home page. When you visit the contact URL endpoint, it shows the contact page. Now let's go ahead and do it. Before doing that, I'm going to use this parameter here, props, because we're going to pass the page content that we want to show with this header and footer via props. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to open and close the curly braces, and I'm going to say show the element that we get from props dot element. Now we have a prop named element. We need to use that prop in main.jsx file. You can see here when we visit the home page, it returns the base component. In base components we say we have a prop named element and get the content of it and paste that content in here. Now in the main.jsx file, when we visit the home page, we return base component, and in there I'm going to say the element that we accessed from the base component should be our home page component. And in here I'm going to say just render this text. This is the contact page. Alright, now let's visit our page. You can see that this is the header, this is the content page, this is the footer. Now the content that we provide as the element prop in here get placed between the header and the footer. Let's visit the home page, then you will see those things. You can see this is the header, and in the between the header and the footer we can see the page content, and at the end we can see the footer. Now even if we visit any page, this header and footer stays in the same position, only the content of the page changes. Now let's go ahead and do some styling. Now let's create the header with nav links to visit different pages. Alright, now I'm going to open header.jsx file, and I'm going to remove this text, and then I'm going to visit react-bootstrap website. So the URL is react-bootstrap.github.io, and once you visit that page, you will get into the home page. Alright, in there you can see this components button. You need to click on that, then you will get into this page. If this components item is not expanded, you need to expand it, and then you need to scroll down until you find this Navbars, this one, and we need to click on that. Then you will get this content, and scroll down a little bit. This is the Navbar style that I'm going to use in this project. So below you can see the code example that we can use to create that type of navbar. If you haven't worked with this code before, just don't try to copy and paste directly in your code editor. Just try to write this code by yourself by looking at this code. Then you will be able to understand, and you'll be able to memorize what kind of components that you want to use, in which order you want to use them. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm not gonna copy and paste it in my IDE. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to split up the screen, and I'm going to open the example code in the left side and my code editor in the right side, so I can look at this code and type it in here. Now as you can see, this component they have created return only this navbar component, so we can remove this fragments. What we want to do is we need to use this navbar component, which is available in react-bootstrap library. Right now this is the component that we want to use, navbar. I'm going to hit enter, then it will get imported automatically here. Then I need to close that. So this is the main component that we return from this component, from the header component. And we have one important prop in this component, which is expand. Let me put some value. These are the breakpoints. You need to put the breakpoints that we can use in Bootstrap, like XS, SM, MD, LG, extra large, extra large. Those are the breakpoints available in Bootstrap. You need to use one of the breakpoints that are listed in here in this place. I'm gonna clear these breakpoints because if I put them there, those are not valid. So I'm gonna say this is the medium is the breakpoint that I wanna pass to this expand prop. So next we can use some class names. I'm not gonna put this one. I'm just say background should be dark. Alright, so that's the class that I'm going to use. So the background of this navbar will be darker. Alright, so let me expand this expand prop. Actually we pass a breakpoint to that prop. That means the content that we put in the navbar, that means the now links that we put in the navbar should be visible when the screen size is medium or large or extra large or extra large. If you specify large, this actually makes the content of the navbar visible when the screen size is large, extra large or extra large. If you want the navbar to be visible, I mean the navbar now links in the navbar to be visible in all the screen sizes, what you can do is you can put excess. This says in the smallest, from the smallest screen sizes, the now links that we put in this navbar should be visible. So that's what it says. It actually provides the breakpoint from which it should start showing the content. So in our case, I used medium. When the screen size is medium, that means a size of a tablet, it should start showing the now links in the navbar. So that's what it says. So this is the first component that we want to use, and then the second component is the container. So this contains all the things in the navbar. For example, the logo and the now links that you want to put, and the toggle button we can see in the smallest screen sizes, and we can use that to see the now links in the smaller screen sizes, because if you have about 6 now links, you cannot see those all 6 now links in the smallest screen sizes. So what we have is we have a navbar toggle button. When we click on that button, we can see all the now links which are hidden in the smaller screen sizes. When we actually, in this case, we use MD as the expand, MD as the value for the expand prop. That means from the medium screen sizes, the navbar content get visible. So the navbar toggle button disappears because we don't need a toggle button to see the now links because they are already visible in larger screen sizes, right? So when it is small, when we visit our page in a device which has the smallest screen size, then we see the navbar toggle button to get help to see the now links. So I'm going to get into this container tags, and in there I need to say navbar brand. this tag helps us to put the logo of the company, or for example we have a chat system, we can put the logo of our chat system in this Navbar brand component. So I'm going to put the name of our chat system, which is also chat system, and in the href prop we can provide the link to visit when we click on that. For example, many websites contains the link to the home page when we click on the logo, so we do the same. We provide this one, then it visits the home page. Imagine we are in the contact page, we need to visit the home page. We can click on this logo or click on this text to visit the home page. And then the second component that we need to use in that container is the navbar toggle. So this is the button that we get in the smallest screen sizes to view the nav links. So I'm going to, actually it doesn't have any closing tag, we put that as a self closing tag, and in here we need to provide an ID, and I will say navbar toggle button. This is the ID, and next component that we're going to use is a little bit important, which is navbar collapse, and this component contains all the nav links that we need to include in the navbar. So when we use those links in this component, we need to provide a value to this prop area controls. The value that we need to set to this prop is the ID of the navbar toggle button. We have provided that in here. Make sure that you put the exact same value, otherwise when you click on that toggle button you will not see the nav links that you have put in this navbar collapse tag. So I'm going to paste that in here. Make sure these both values are same. And in the navbar collapse component I'm going to add some nav links. So I can add nav link. All the components that I use here are available in react-bootstrap library. You can see that here. I get only one import statement, and I import many components from react-bootstrap library. So make sure that you have imported all these components that we use in here. And then I have the nav link. Nav link also has a prop named href, which accepts the link that we want to visit when we click on that text. So the first link should be home page, and the text content for that is home. When you click the home text, it should redirect us to the home page. And then next nav link I have is for contact. I'm going to add this / here. And this is for contact. And then I will add another one to visit about us, and I will put another link here which redirects us to the facts page. That means frequently asked questions page. Alright, now we have navbar collapse, and we have defined navbar toggle and set the ID to this navbar toggle button, and we have set the area controls prop to navbar toggle button. That means the ID of the navbar toggle, to make sure that we see this nav links when we click on that toggle button. And then we have our chat system name for the navbar brand. I'm going to add some CSS class here to make that text content a little bit bigger when we view it. So I'm going to add this class. Alright, now there's one thing that we need to do. Actually, we need to add one more container that will contain two links. The first one is sign up and the second one is sign in. I'm gonna have two columns, and in all the screen sizes this column should take 6 columns, and this columns also should take the size of 6 columns from this row. Alright, now in here in this column I will create a button which says sign up, and in this column I create another button which says sign in. Or just we can actually remove these two columns. We can remove this one too. I have a way to align them in a row without adding those two columns. What I want to say is set the width to auto, then this button will not get the entire width of the row. It get the width to show only the text content in that button. So I'm going to style this button a little bit. I'm going to say the color should be, the theme of the button should be primary, and I'm going to style this button to btn outline success. Alright, now let's visit our page. Visit our home page. We'll see what we can see. Stars are not applied. I think I have an error in this file. We'll see that. We go to inspect, and in there we select console. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna close this react-bootstrap page because now we don't need that. What's the error that I'm facing? Container is not defined. Alright, I haven't imported that thing. Container, I need to import this container from react-bootstrap library. There we go. Now we should see that. Yeah, you can see we see some things in the Navbar, but the text are not visible, so we're gonna change that. That means the text has the black color. I'm going to change the text color in here. I'm going to say text should be white. As you can see, we see that here, but we don't see the text in the Navbar brand. Let's provide text white color to that too. Alright, we get it. Now the problem that we have, the next problem we have is we don't have any space between these now links. To do that, I'm going to add some CSS classes to that, or just let me try something. I think we can add a bootstrap class to this to get the gap between those items. Yeah, it works. I provide this gap-5 class to this Navbar collapse component. So I use class name prop to provide the bootstrap class that I want to put to this Navbar collapse item. When we get some space, and I need to get some space between this Navbar brand and the now links, so I'm going to add something in here. Padding from the end should be 3, then I will get some space. Yeah, I will say 5. Yeah, that's fine. And the next thing that I want to do is I need to actually align the sign up and sign in button in a row. I have added them in the row component, so I need to make this button width to auto. Yeah, we get it. And I need some gap between those two buttons. What I can do is I can add a class name like this. Alright, then we get it. Now I need to move these two buttons to the right side, to here, and I'm gonna do that. The way that I can do is the two buttons are in a row component, so we can use justify content. Justify content end, and then it will move these two buttons. Nope. Let me set the width to 100%. Alright, now it's right. Now I need to get rid of this spaces that we get from the right side and the left side. Let's go ahead and do it. I think I need to remove the padding that we get from this tag. We'll set the padding of x-axis to 0. It doesn't happen anything. So let's remove the padding along the x-axis of this tag. Not actually, it also doesn't make any sense. So let's inspect that. After you click on inspect item, you will get this dev tools. In there you need to go to elements tab, and then you need to click on this tool. Once you click on this tool, you need to click on the space that you're getting from both sides. I'm gonna click on that, and then you will see this element, this HTML element, get highlighted. It's the div tag with the ID of root, and in there you can see blue colored area, that's the content, and in the left side and the right side you will see some green colored area. Those are paddings. If you go to this if you scroll down this content that you're getting in the right side, you will see something like this. This says if we get an area selected with the brown color, it says it's margin, and if it is light brown or light yellow, it says it's the border, and if it is green color, it's padding. In this case, you will see when I hover on this padding, this space along with the white space that we're getting get highlighted with green color, and if it is blue, that means it's the content. So in this case we have some paddings, that's why we get that white space from the right side and the left side. That padding we're getting from this tag, from this div tag with the ID of root. So the location where we can find that tag is this index.html file. I need to go to that, and in this tag I want to set this, I want to add a new class name, which is padding from x-axis 0. Then it will remove the padding from the right side and the left side. If we visit that, you see the white space is gone. Now we don't get that space. Alright, so that's how we remove that white space that we get from the both sides. Now there's one thing that I forgot to do actually. In the header.jsx file, I'm adding these now links directly inside this Navbar collapse component. What I want to do is I need to wrap them with this now component, and I'm going to indent them properly. And I'm gonna give this a class name. Oh no, no need. Alright, that's, let's see our page content. Actually, we need to import that component. It's fine. Now we can remove this gap class name from the Navbar collapse. We don't need that. And in here I'm gonna add this class name. I wanna set the text to white. Doesn't work. Alright, to make the text color white of this each now link, I'm gonna copy this part and I'm gonna paste that in each now link. Then I will get the text color of each now link as white. Alright, now it's fine. Alright, now we have done designing the header. Now let's move to the footer. You can see there is no any content in the footer but this text. We're gonna remove that. I'm going to open the footer.jsx and I'm going to remove this. Instead of those fragments, I'm going to put a row, and after that I'm going to head over to ChatGPT and ask for the content for the footer. And I'm saying, can you give me the test content for the footer of my channel? It will generate us the content for the footer. Let's ask for more content. There we go, we have that. Okay, now I'm going to paste this all content in my file. I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna paste that in this footer.jsx file. I'm gonna copy this about us text, and I'm gonna copy the copyright information too. Alright, so I'm gonna name my platform name as chat system. That's our name. I think I better remove this, don't need that. Alright, now let's just start organizing the content in the footer. So I'm gonna use footer tags to create my footer instead of returning. Alright, now I'm going to move these quick links into the second column, which is this one. Now I'm going to move this heading to the first row. I'm going to indent them like this. Let's install that later. First, let's move this content to the columns where they should be in. Next, we have support, and then we have connect with us. I think I need to duplicate one of the columns that we have. I will duplicate this last column we have, and I'm gonna paste this information in there. I'm gonna indent the text content properly, then the code is more clean. Right now I have organized the source code in the footer. Now let's visit the page and we'll see how it looks like. Alright, I need to add another thing, and I have added one row in the footer. That row contains all the sections with the information, and I'm going to create another row to hold this copyright information like this. We'll see how it looks like. This is how the footer looks like. Now let's install that a little bit. For each heading, I'm going to give a little bit larger text size, like FS3. Actually, I need to give some padding from the x-axis to this row. Padding from x-axis should be 5. Alright, and I will turn it to 4. That's fine. 4 is good. And for the next section heading, I'm gonna paste the same class. Alright, now the headings of each sections are styled. Now let's style these sections a little bit. I need to get some space between each section, so I'm going to say, because we have added those each section in columns and those columns are inside a row component, we can use gap css class, bootstrap class name, like this. I think I better decrease the size of these each section in extra large string sizes. And I'm gonna add this each item as a list item, so I'm gonna create a unordered list, and I'm going to wrap these items with that, and I will give a class name that removes all the list styles from our list. I will say list unstyled. It will remove default styles applied to that list. So I'm gonna wrap this each value with li tags. Alright, like that. I'm gonna do that to other sections where I can see items like this. For the social media platforms, I'm going to use the icons for them. So Twitter will have the new icon, which is X. I'm going to use them here. Twitter, actually that should be X. X icon is not included in the React icons library, so what I need to do is I need to install one more dependency for my frontend project, which is react bootstrap icons. X icon is available in that library, so we need to install that. Alright, it's installed. Now let's start the server again. npm run dev. Alright, now the library is installed. We can use actually X icon now. This is how we use it, I think. We'll see. Import Twitter X from React Bootstrap icons. If that icon is imported correctly, we will see the Twitter X icon in our footer. I'm gonna close ChatGPT, don't need that. And what's happening? Alright, now let's see. Yeah, you can see the X icon is imported here. That means we have imported that correctly. And next we need to use Instagram icon and then the Facebook icon, and I need to import this one, mail in Lobat row. From this component I'm gonna return the footer. I'm gonna remove this, and in the footer I'm going to create a new row, and I'm gonna create a column in that. I need to say in extra small screen sizes this column should take the entire width of the row available, and in the medium screen sizes this should take 3 columns, and extra large screen sizes this should take about, in the medium screen size I will say 4, and extra large we have 3. And I'm gonna paste this multiple times, and this is for our about us section. I'm gonna copy that text, and I'm gonna create 2 rows in this first column. So the first row will contain the section title, which is about us, and the second row will contain the paragraph that we have copied. I'm gonna make it to multiple lines. Alright, I will do the same for other columns. I will create 2 rows in each column. I will import this icon to represent the email. Alright, you can see those items are aligned in a column. Now I need to fix that. The way that we can follow in order to fix that is we can add some class names to this. We'll say width, set the width to auto, and it will align these items in a row. And then we need to give some size to these icons. I will say 28. That size is enough, and I'm gonna give some space. I'm gonna get some space between this heading and icons. So I'm gonna use padding top in the row which contains the icons, and I'm gonna say pt4. That's fine. For this email, actually I'm gonna move it into a new line. I'm going to create 12 column with 12 column size, so this will get the entire width of the row, and the envelope will belong to this column. So we can see like those are separated rows. Then I can put the email right here. I will say chat system at say gmail.com. Okay, and I need to have some gap between these icons. I'm going to say gap of 4. Oh, I need to set the display property to flex, otherwise I can't use this gap bootstrap class. I'm gonna set the display property to flex, and the direction is actually the default direction is wrong. You don't need to add that. Alright, and then in the second column I'm going to say the display should property set to flex, and I need some gap between that envelope icon and the email. I will add the same gap like this. Gap dash 4. Alright, it's fine. Now I need some space, some gap between these two columns. So because those two columns are in a row component, I can give some gap to this row component to add some gap between those two columns like this. I will have more gap between them. Okay, and also I need to get some space between the headings of other sections and the content of those. I'm going to do that now. I'm going to say I need some padding from top of 4. Then it will look same as this contact with us section. I'm gonna copy this and paste it in other components. Then I will get the same padding like this. And for the last list, so I haven't added the UL tag and haven't specified any class name. List unstyled, and I'm gonna indent these tags properly. Right now the code is organized and styled a little bit. Let's view it. I'm going to change the text color of this. I'm gonna make this text color more smaller than this. I'm going to give it a font size of 6. We'll see. It should be no, actually I need to give some background color for this footer, so I'm going to give this background color for that. Should be more darker like this, and I need to set the text color of the footer to white. I will say white 50. Yeah, that looks better. Okay, also I need to set the text color to this copyright information. I'm going to do that. Scroll down. I need to get some padding along the y-axis for this copyright information, because I need to get some space. You can see if I select it, the about us section, between the about us section and the copyright information, there's no much space. So I need to make sure that it has some space. I will give padding from y5. And I'm gonna make the text color to white like this, and I need to have a padding along the x-axis. It also 5. That's cool. And I need to have some padding from the top of the footer. I'm going to add that right in here. I'm going to add a bootstrap class to this footer tag. Padding from top, I need about 5. Alright, that's fine. Alright, this is the footer. When you have the links to these links that we have added in this each section, you can actually do something like this. For example, I will set the link to home page. You can wrap this li tag with href tag by providing the link for the page like this, and to make sure that you remove the default style, which is get applied to a tags, you need to add this class name or I think you can add that class name to this one. We'll say text decoration none. No, actually, you need to add this text decoration none class to this a tag. You'll see that, and if you need to change the text color, you can also do that by doing something like this, or provide a hard-coded value for the text color using inline CSS. So that's how you do it. So I'm not gonna actually set the links to those links that we can see in each section. I'm just gonna leave them as it is. Alright, now we have done creating the footer and installing that, and also we have created the header. Now let's move to the sign in page and sign up page. You can ask for images using ChatGPT to place in the sign in and sign up page. I've already created 2 images and downloaded them and added to my project directory. Go ahead and create 2 images to include in those 2 pages using ChatGPT and add those images into your project's asset directory. Once you've done that, come back to the video and let's start designing the sign in and sign up page.